We have reached NFL Week 7. It's going to be an interesting week of football. Maybe. I don't know if interesting is the right word here. This is going to be a week that I think it's very possible we, frankly, forget about by the end of the year. I think we'll look back and go like, oh, yeah, because there's no big matchup this week. There's no, Patrick Mahomes against Josh Allen level matchup this week. But there are some really good storylines. For example, you've got the Giants who are 5-1. They play at Jacksonville. The Giants have won 3 straight. Can they keep it going is the question. And on the other side, you got the Jaguars who started 2-1, but they've lost 3 games in a row. And the question is, can they get back on track? And so that game's interesting. The Jets at Denver is very fascinating because the Jets probably should be the favorite, actually. Their quarterback, Zach Wilson, is 3-0 since coming back from an injury. They're coming off of this great win, the Jets are, over Green Bay on the road at Green Bay, where they shut down Aaron Rodgers and the Packers offense. And if they can do that to Aaron Rodgers, can you imagine what they can do and how many problems they can cause for a struggling Denver offense with Russell Wilson? So Jets at Denver, interesting game to keep your eye on. The Raiders are 1-4. The Raiders have lost every game they've lost by 1 score or less. It's been like insanely close. The margins are razor thin. The Raiders at 1-4 host Houston this week, who is a 1-win football team, and it's a must-win game for the Raiders because, like, they've had a shockingly decent season for how, like, compare the start for the Raiders to the Chargers. Like, the outcomes are razor thin, and the Chargers have come out on top. They're 4-2. The Raiders have been on the wrong side of razor thin margins. They're 1-4. But if the Raiders can win, they have a chance to keep their season alive because they're playing some decent football. But if you lose this game at home against against the Houston Texans, you can't recover. You cannot recover from 2-5 if you're the Raiders, and so it's a must-win game for Vegas this coming weekend. My light's flickering. Give me 1 sec. All right. Lions at Cowboys should be really interesting. The Lions are 1-4. They are coming off of a bye week. And Detroit, man, they need a win here. They're 1-4. They've had a lot of time to prepare for this game. Now, Dallas, their starting quarterback, Dak Prescott, this will be his first game coming back from an injury. And for Dak, I can't imagine a better team to have your first game back against than the Detroit Lions, because the Lions defense cannot stop anybody. They've allowed the most points in the NFL. They've allowed the most yards per game. It's a double-edged sword, though, because can you imagine if Dallas lost this game? They went 4-1 with a backup quarterback, Cooper Rush, and then in Dak's first game back, if they lose to the Detroit Lions, a terrible, terrible defense. And by the way, the Cowboys have a really good defense themselves. That'd be a nightmare. Like, you cannot, if you're Dallas, you have to win this game, and you cannot afford to lose, given the circumstance and what's gone down. So, I'm curious how things will play out. I think Dallas wins this game, but let's be clear, if Dallas does lose this game, that's almost, I would almost say wildly inappropriate. Like, you cannot lose this game, given the context of what's going on. So, keep your eye on this one. Feels like a bit of a trap, actually, for Dallas. Sunday night is a massive game. It's Pittsburgh at Miami. Miami's former head coach, Brian Flores, is going to be on the sidelines for Pittsburgh coaching. Brian Flores is suing the Miami Dolphins for discrimination. There's a storyline there. Plus, it's an interesting quarterback matchup because both quarterbacks are coming back from concussion protocol. Kenny Pickett, the Steelers' rookie quarterback, is fun to watch, but he's still growing and learning, and every game just trying to get a little bit better. On the other side, Miami, their quarterback, Tua, is in year 3. And the pressure is on for Tua to play well. And there's even rumors that Tua and Brian Flores didn't have the best relationship. So it'd be kind of a cool moment if Tua had a great, really good game against a Brian Flores coached defense. And there's a lot of pressure here for Tua to play well. Miami started 3-0. They're 3-3 and have not won since Tua got hurt. So I don't know. I think another storyline here is that it's kind of a tough game for the broadcasters because there's a lot of uncomfortable subjects. You've got concussions and lawsuits, and Miami's owner is back from a suspension. I think even the game is exciting already, but then on top of that, you got this layer of like, how do the broadcasters kind of tiptoe around these topics. Like if you're looking for another alternate storyline to watch, it's just interesting enough to see like how all this stuff is going to get handled by Mike Tirico and Chris Collinsworth. So Sunday Night Football, it's going to be really fun. Pittsburgh at Miami. Monday Night Football is a really big game. It's the Bears at the Patriots. Chicago's got a really good defense, I think, in my personal opinion. But they've got a struggling young quarterback, Justin Fields, who is so talented, man. He can run like a running back. He's got a good arm, but he's growing and learning. And I think you see him miss throws sometimes because he's thinking. Like the physical upside of his arm is not showing because he's thinking so much and not just reacting and, playing the way he physically can. Now, the Patriots have a quarterback controversy here. The Patriots, their day one starter has thrown 2 touchdowns and 5 interceptions so far this year. He's been out with a high ankle sprain. While Mac Jones has been out and injured, rookie quarterback Bailey Zappi has gone 2-0 as a starting quarterback and looked pretty good, actually. So I'm not sure who the Patriots quarterback is going to be this weekend. I hope it's going to be Bailey Zappi, to be totally honest, because I want to see Bailey Zappi against what I think is a pretty solid Bears defense, because it'd be a really good test to see how good Bailey Zappi actually is. So Bears at Patriots, Monday Night Football. It's a lot of fun. I just want to see, like, what does Bailey Zappi do if he plays? And if Mac Jones plays and plays bad, that's another concern, which is part of why, like, I think you actually have to, allow Bailey Zappi to play through whatever's going on. Because the minute Bailey Zappi plays bad, you can go back to Mac Jones. But if you put Mac Jones back in and then he plays bad, you lost a fan base, you lost a locker room. Like, it's a delicate situation you kind of have to tread carefully with. Okay, this week during NFL Week 7, 4 teams have a bye week. The Bills, the Rams, the Vikings, and Philly all have the week off and are not playing. And, those are the teams that have a bye week. Here's why Green Bay at Washington is interesting. Green Bay is 3-3, playing a backup quarterback, Taylor Heinicke, and they need to win this game. Green Bay is on track for the worst record they've ever had with Matt LaFleur as their head coach. They've gone 13-3, 13-3, and then 13-4 in the 3 years Matt LaFleur's been their head coach in Green Bay. In the regular season, they've never lost more than 4 games. This next weekend, after this game, they play at Buffalo, which is a really tough game against a good team, a high-powered offense, and the Packers' offense has been struggling. So, man, the Packers got to win this game at 3-3. They got to beat Washington. The big issue for the Packers this year has been their lack of a receiving weapon on offense. Now, I'm also really, really curious to see how Washington quarterback Taylor Heinicke plays, because there is a small chance, not very big, but a small chance that Taylor Heinicke could actually be an upgrade over Washington quarterback Carson Wentz. Okay, Colts at Tennessee. Indy is at risk of getting swept by Tennessee for the second year in a row. Indy is 3-2-1. The Titans are 3-2, coming off of their bye week, meaning that Tennessee has had a lot of time to prepare for this game. Matt Ryan last week had an awesome game-winning touchdown drive. So the Colts are in a decent spot, actually 3-2-1. Their season is not over. There's a lot of teams that are right around 500, so 3-2-1, you're in totally good shape if you're the Colts, actually. But Tennessee has won 3 in a row. They have had extra time to prepare for this game. And one of those games they won earlier was a Week 4 win over Indianapolis. So it should be a tense, good game. I'm expecting a lot. In Indy, man, if I'm the Colts, I'm doing everything I can to avoid getting swept by Tennessee for the second year in a row. Tampa at Carolina. Dude, Tampa has to win this game. Carolina is 1-5. They fired their coach. They're starting a third-string quarterback, P.J. Walker, in this game. For Tampa, this should be an easy win. But still, you got to follow through, so we'll see what happens with Tampa at Carolina. The Chargers against Seattle. The game is in L.A. LA's had a roller coaster of a year so far. A ton of injuries, a bunch of tough games, a lot of games they've barely won, but still, LA finds themselves at 4-2, which is really, really good if you're a Charger fan. And a win here would make them 5-2 going into their bye week. And the bye week gives you an opportunity to get healthy. So, LA, they want to win this game. Seattle's not an easy win, though. Seattle, they compete. 2 of their 3 losses are by 1 score. Seattle's got a ton of young talent. Geno Smith, their quarterback, does not turn the ball over really ever. It's going to be a tough one if LA is going to win this game, but it does feel like a game that gives LA a huge opportunity to, if they win, they're in a great spot at 5-2 going into their bye week. Falcons at Cincinnati. Marcus Mariota last week had 1 incomplete pass in a win over the 49ers. Like, the dude can play. Both teams are 3-3 here. I'm not that interested in this game, but it does feel like either team could win. And that's what I love, man. I might watch this game simply for that, because I love in sports when there is no obvious winner and I don't know who's going to win. I hate when you watch Alabama against some cupcake and you're like, well, Alabama's going to win. I love in sports when there's no favorite. Like some games, the 49ers at Kansas City is a great example. I think that Kansas City's probably going to win that game. I'm not as interested. The draw here is that Bengals and Falcons, I just don't know who's going to win. Now let's talk about that game. 49ers at Kansas City. Christian McCaffrey just got traded there to the 49ers. I don't expect he's going to play. He's got to learn the offense. There's a possibility they could have a play or two with him, like a specific package or a specific role for Christian McCaffrey, but I don't expect very much from him this week. I do expect Kansas City to win this game. And, the 49ers are a wild card. Jimmy Garoppolo is a roller coaster of emotion. Some weeks are great, some weeks are bad. You never really know what to expect from the 49ers, but Kansas City is better and should win this game. The last game we haven't talked about yet is Cleveland at Baltimore. Cleveland is 2-4. They are trying to keep their season alive until quarterback Deshaun Watson gets back from a suspension. So Cleveland, they're just trying to keep the raft afloat, where the Ravens, what's exciting here is that Baltimore just added a receiver, Deshaun Jackson, this week. He's 36 years old, but the dude can run, man. Like, he just can run deep. He's got a lot of speed. And I can't wait to see it, because I think he's going to stretch the field and run verticals like all day long. And like, I know he's new to their offense, but it's not complicated what they're going to ask him to do. They're in the huddle, and Lamar's like, yeah, Deshaun, run straight. And it's going to open up stuff for Devin Duvernay and Rashad Bateman. And so, also an interesting storyline is the Ravens are 3-3 right now, tied with Cincinnati. Cincinnati's 0-2 in the division. The Ravens are 1-0. So the Ravens have a better record in division. So even though they're both 3-3, the Ravens are in the lead right now in the AFC North. Winning here would be another in-division win, which would solidify Baltimore even further in first place in the AFC North. So I don't know. I look around the NFL. It's a fun weekend. It's not a spicy, intense weekend with great matchups everywhere. But there are really good storylines. I think of the Giants. I think of the Jets. I think of Sunday Night Football is really interesting between Pittsburgh at Miami. Who's going to play quarterback for the Patriots? Can Baltimore stay at first in the AFC North? Like, there are good storylines across the NFL. I think that a couple games that come to mind, I think Falcons and Cincinnati is a oddly interesting game, because I just don't know who's going to win. And that Chargers-LA game, LA wants to, so that Chargers-Seattle game, Chargers-LA is the same team. Like, Seattle's not a pushover, man. I really, they've gained a lot of my respect this season. And I think people are expecting, if you're a Chargers fan, you're like, yeah, we're 4-2. We'll beat Seattle, be 5-2 going into the bye week. That's not guaranteed, man. Seattle can beat you. And I don't know. A lot of fun to be had if you're a football fan this weekend.